Live? All right.
Live. It's alive.
Here we are. Another episode.
I'm excited, man. I'm actually stoked.
This is going to be a good
This is gonna be
episode.
good,
Yeah. We're doing our Q&A.
Yeah.
So we had some listeners email us some questions that they wanted us to answer. And some of them are really good questions, actually, So
Yeah.
it seems like some of them are really serious about what the job entails and how we deal with stuff.
Yeah. On that note, some of this stuff will be pretty serious. So we're going to be talking about some, nasty stuff potentially. So if you want to tune out, this would probably be a good time to do it.
Absolutely, yeah. And if you do tune out, just know that maybe this isn't the job for you.
Hey, good point.
Right.
Yeah, goodbye.
So,
But some awesome questions. Thank you guys so much. I'm really stoked.
Yeah. So once again, welcome to another episode of Behind the Smoke podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Adamo.
I'm Boris.
And this is Boris. And so quickly thank our sponsors. I can't wait to get this pre-recorded so I don't have to do this every time. Strike Recovery and Performance, located in Burnaby. Go see them for any of your physio, chiro, or RMT needs. They're the best around. You guys have heard me talk about them in previous episodes, but we will get this pre-recorded so that way it's quick and then we can get right to talking.
Yeah, we appreciate what they're doing for us, and we want to give them the value of having us not brain melt while speaking about their company.
Yeah, exactly. And also shout out to CanCon Construction. So just thank you guys so much for sponsoring us and making all this happen.
Yeah, thank you.
Right on. Okay, so we're going to dive into some questions here.
Yeah, okay. So again, none of this stuff is scripted. We just got some of the questions written down here, and we'll just jump right into it. The first one is actually, it relates to the first episode we had where you spoke about, as a probationer going to a call and realizing you're not that familiar with the Halligan. That's where this question came from. So what do you do if you don't know something on a call or elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, that is a good question because you are going to come into this. Like, this is, I think it happens to everyone.
Yeah, and you're right. Like, it's not something that you expect. Like, you call firefighters because you're all out of options and you want them to solve your problem.
Yeah, and, sometimes depending on the situation, you kind of have to think on the fly and be able to make decisions in that stressful environment, and you might not know what the best decision to make is, right? So, if you don't know something, you got to work together as a team. Like, and I know we keep preaching this, right? Like team, but it is so important in this career, right? You're going to be in situations where you're not always going to know what the best route to go about is. I think that's when you really got to work together.
Yeah.
Right.
And utilize that chain of command. If you don't know something, go to your next person in that chain of command. Maybe they know. If they don't know, they're going to bring it up, because through experience, you might be able to solve it right there and then.
Exactly. Yeah. Experience is huge, right? But like in my situation, for example, trying to force open doors, I remember, like I said in the first episode, after that, I was like, I don't ever want to feel like that again.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so I went off the job and with my own money paid for a course through Training Resurrected.
Great guys.
Awesome guys. Check them out on Instagram and stuff too. They're unbelievable. Those guys are so dialed. But yeah, like I took their forcible entry course because I was like, this is something that I obviously need to brush up on. Mm-hmm. Right. So if you're in that situation, once that situation is resolved, you need to be able to reflect and be like, you know what, that wasn't a good performance by me. How can I learn more about this and do better so that way if this comes up again, I'm better equipped with dealing with it.
Yeah, and for those not in the fire service or just listening from the sidelines as a customer or a client or somebody who's expecting firefighters, these failures are never critical, or 0.0001%. When I was on my first cardiac arrest and I had to do chest compressions, if I wasn't doing them correctly and if I didn't know how to do something, they would have jumped in.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you weren't able to get that door open with the Halligan, somebody would have jumped in.
Exactly, which is what happened, right?
Yeah.
Someone ended up like kind of helping me out and talking me through it.
Yeah.
But just the fact that I didn't know, I was like, I want to better myself and make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, and I actually have a funny story about that. It reminded me. I don't think he was a probationer. I think he was a couple of years on, but I was a little bit more senior than him, and we had this basement fire. So we kind of hit it from the outside, and then we heard there was people trapped on the first floor. So instead of going into the basement right away, we went to the first floor to try to do a search,
Yeah.
a primary search, which obviously is super dangerous. You have fire below you and all that bad stuff. We went in, tried to do it. Couldn't find him right away. We're like, listen, the officer made executive decision. He said this is way too dangerous. We have no visibility. We're not finding anybody. Let's
Fire's below you.
Fire's below us. Let's just tackle the fire first and then deal with it there, right?
Yeah.
Which makes sense. I mean, we also had people below, and like I said, we hit it early, so we did reset the fire clock a little bit, so it wasn't that critical. Anyway, on the way back down to the basement door, another like a junior person to me was trying to get it open with a Halligan,
Yeah.
and I just pushed him out of the way and just boot that door open, and it felt so good. I'm like, we'll just step aside, because through like experience, you're gonna know like, okay, this is a basement door of a single family occupancy on like a lower income side of the city. This door, I can put my 300 pounds of weight with my gear and it'll open. You know?
For sure.
And that's the kind of experience that comes with time. I'm not going to just know that as a probationer or if I've never done
for
it.
sure.
So again, if that person might have not had the best day opening that door, but we were there to help out, and it's never, the job is never not going to get done.
Yeah.
It's just not going to go smoothly if you don't know your job or
Exactly.
skilled.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, like, and also just like, now that we're on the topic of training and stuff, for those of you who are just getting hired, or even after you get hired, like, you should still be trying to learn new skills all the time.
Yeah.
And better the skills that you have, right? Like, you're never not going to learn on this job unless you don't want to.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's an awful mentality to have in the fire service.
Yeah. You want to be proactive. Actually, we should have an episode on that. Proactive versus reactive firefighter.
Well, let me just get my notepad here.
Yeah. Let's jot that down.
Proactive
That'll be a good one.
Versus
reactive.
I like that.
Can you spell it properly or what?
I think Francesco. Is that right?
Oh yeah, shout out Francesco, our boy, podcast guru.
Yeah, he gave me a thumbs up, man. It's good.
We're gonna get him a mic here pretty soon so he can chime in.
Yeah, maybe you could be our third sponsor to get us that third mic.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this, reach out to us. If you got any questions, I don't know if we mentioned it, but shoot us an email or DM or whatever. We're on Instagram, TikTok.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Like, if you want, you can also just send us a DM. Like Boris said, you don't have to send us an email. It can just be a quick thing over Instagram or whatever, right?
Any questions you have? Like, we're loving this already. We're one question in out of 4, I think, or 5.
I think we got, we got 4, but the last one is a pretty in-depth one.
Okay, nice.
We're going to be talking about fires and when you're new and showing up to the hall and all that stuff. So
nice. So yeah, we love it. We love all the interactions, and thank you guys so much for already sending questions in one episode in.
Yeah,
that's awesome to see. So yeah, proactive versus reactive. We'll have that on for sure one of these days.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, not knowing something you're saying, like training, keep training.
Yeah, and take ownership.
Yeah.
Right. Admit that it wasn't the best and you don't know, and take the ownership to learn.
Yeah.
Right. And just because you're with your crew and somebody else was able to get it done because they know, doesn't mean that you can just rely on that person in the future to do that again. Like, you have to learn from them.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's not a good look either. Like, if someone's always stepping in to do your job, then what are you doing?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's not a good look.
You only really have about 6 months to a year, during your probation to have, I don't know any better as an excuse.
Exactly.
After that, it's there is no excuse.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%.
But great question. Thank you so much for that. What do you do if you don't know something? Also, if somebody asks you a question and you don't know something, be honest. Say, I don't know, but I'll get back to you.
Yeah, don't try and guess, because it's just going to make you look bad, right? Yeah. It's going to make you look like you don't know what you're talking about, right? Like, if a senior firefighter asks you a question, I don't know, say about a flashover, right? Like, tell me what a flashover is, right? You should know this, by the way,
Yeah,
if you're on probation. That's something you should already know. But if you don't, just be honest. Don't try and make stuff up, and don't make excuses for not knowing. Just say, you know what, I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm going to find out. I'm going to get back to you, and I'll have an answer for you.
totally. And guys will respect that. Yeah, you don't know everything. That's understandable, but you're going to find out and you're going to be better for it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Good to go on to next one
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Next question.
All right. The second question we have here is, how do you deal with seeing death or dying situations?
Yeah, and that's such a valid question for, someone who wants to get into this job but has never been exposed to something like that, right?
Mhm.
Because people react differently.
Yeah, and I mean, 99% of people will never be exposed to something like this.
Exactly.
For
Yeah.
us, it's like a Tuesday.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy to think about it.
Yeah, and when you first get hired and you haven't had that experience, it for some people, I'm sure it can be traumatic or whatever, right? Depending on the situation. But there's a lot of ways of coping and dealing with some of the stuff that we see. And you want to make sure that it's something positive,
Yeah.
right? You know, you also got to remind yourself that these situations are going to happen in this line of work, and you're there to do the best that you can to help. You didn't create that situation, and you can only do your best,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. Like that's a great point you touched on there, Damo. Like, you signed up to do this. You should know, knowing into this job, that you may see death, or you're going to see people during the worst day of their lives,
Yeah.
whatever that may be. And you have to be mentally ready for it. If you're not, or if you have issues after the fact, you have to find what works for you to cope with it.
Exactly, yeah. And for me personally, it's exercise. Like, I love working out and MMA and jiu-jitsu and stuff like that, right? So that's my outlet, right? And also just like talking to family and friends and your crew too, right? Like, if you see something that bugs you, you got to tell your crew, like, they have your back.
Yeah. And we touched on it in one of the previous episodes, but CISM, critical incident stress management, some fire departments might have somebody within the department who deals with critical incidents, talking about it, getting everybody together, and yeah, basically disseminating the information after the fact.
Yeah, I think with this question too, we should remember when we have Brandon on to maybe we can run this question by him. And he's a mental health expert in our department, so he would have good insight on this as well.
Yeah, it would be great to have him on the show. And yeah, just dealing with that, you got to do it your own way. Like, as I almost said, he works out. I just eat until I'm really full. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, you don't want to be drinking. It's
Don't form bad habits.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I still to this day love swimming. I talked about it in another podcast. So I love just going for a swim and, half hour under the water. Not at the same time.
You can hold your breath for that long? What are you, a fucking dolphin?
You should see me out there. Yeah, it's just a good way to shut everything out.
Yeah, for sure. It's and people deal with it differently, right? Like,
I just realized you made fun of me for my coping mechanisms.
Sorry.
No, this is laughter's a big one.
Yeah, and dark humor too, right?
Yeah,
dark humor is a big one too, and it definitely lightens up the situation a bit after the fact.
Yeah,
don't use dark humor obviously when you're in that situation.
Yeah, for sure. And
right.
Yeah, dark humor is just such a big part of our job.
And for those listening, like, if you don't understand the dark humor, like, you need to understand that if you're taking everything so seriously that you go to, it at some point is going to affect you.
Yeah, for sure. And you can see it in some guys, like, they'll blow over the smallest little thing. I mean, we've been guilty of it.
Yeah,
I'm sure, but
for sure,
like, some fuses out there are super short.
Yeah, exactly.
Usually the job is pretty good with having safety nets, whether that's like a physical thing like massage therapy, physio, any of that stuff, or mental health.
Yeah, that's another thing too, right? Is most departments, like with your benefits, are going to cover counseling. Some departments might even have their own counselors or like preferred counselors. So yeah, it's it's really dependent on the person as to what avenue they want to take and what works for them.
Yeah, and you touched on it earlier, like sports. Like we have a lot of sports out there, like rugby, hockey,
Yeah.
soccer, whatever, boxing.
Yeah.
Yeah, get into it and yeah, just forgetting the work in that moment in time, I think is what's key. So like
Yeah.
whatever
Totally.
it is that you do, you forget it for that 1 hour.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of turn your brain off from it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important to be able to do that,
Yeah.
right? And I think eventually when you get more experience dealing with these situations, you learn to separate work from your home life.
Mm-hmm.
But not everybody does, right? But I think for a lot of people, they kind of figure out, like I said earlier, like what works for them.
Yeah.
So that way they're not at home just thinking about this all the time. So like whether it's counseling, working out, swimming, holding your breath for 30 minutes, like Boris said,
Yeah.
Nobody. We're gonna get you to prove that one.
Yeah. We'll get once we have a bigger budget, we'll get a tank in here. And
Nice. Yeah. Just a big fish tank.
Me and my Ginch can either go two ways.
Yeah.
More people tune in, or that'll be the end of this thing.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
But yeah, I also like people do puzzles. They'll do like coloring books.
Yeah.
Yeah. Video games, right?
Yeah.
Any of that stuff. Just shut your brain off for an hour, 2 hours.
Being able to just like, totally like not have to think about that situation for a bit. Gives you a bit of a reset.
Yeah. Hunting for both of us.
Yeah. We both like hunting, fishing. We love the outdoors, like all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
It kind of just separates you from work for a while, right?
Yeah. No, it's great. Even give yourself that time after the shift. Like don't go straight home, first 10 minutes that you're off shift. Maybe go for like a 15-20 minute drive.
Yeah. Go for a walk or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. If you need a little more time to disconnect after like a traumatic event, like Adamo said, take that extra half hour, go for a walk, and then go home.
Yeah.
Better than to bring all that shit back into the household.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, awesome question. Good with that?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, number 3. What are some personal fears that would hinder a firefighter career, or like a firefighter in his career? So I think what this question stems from is something that would essentially bar you from being a career firefighter.
Okay. Well, if you're afraid of fire, that might not.
Yeah,
might not work out.
Yeah, it's like you're an ice guy.
Yeah.
Ice.
But in all seriousness, I think like there's quite a few that you could think about. Like if you're afraid of heights.
Yeah, I have heights on my notes here. I mean, again, like I think it's more like mentality. Like I don't like heights.
Yeah.
I don't know about you?
I don't mind heights. I don't like confined spaces.
See? But again, like that's part of the job, right?
Totally.
But I think it's more a mentality thing. Like no one's gonna be okay with everything. Like I don't like heights. I don't like big Australian spiders.
Yeah, well that one's understandable.
Yeah. Right? I don't care that a huntsman doesn't bite. It's just huge and ugly looking, and I don't want to look at it. But I don't think it's the actual fears themselves. Like, some people are germaphobes, but we have germaphobes on our job.
Yeah.
I think it's the mentality of it, like how you deal with it.
Totally.
Those germaphobes will go around and wipe everything in the morning.
Yeah.
The guys that are afraid of heights, well, if something is height related, they'll support. They'll be there as part of the team, but maybe they won't be the ones like over the window or whatever, or on the crane or whatever the issue is, right?
Yeah, I think too with some of these like heights and confined space and stuff like that, it's kind of like a phobia, but like in order to get over that phobia, I think you need to like put yourself in those positions.
Yeah.
Right. And then just remind yourself that, like you said, it's your mentality, right? And talk yourself through it if you have to, right? But I think if you are afraid of those things, baby steps, right? And gradually get yourself to the point where it no longer bothers you.
Yeah. And it's better to find that stuff out before you apply. So if you have those phobias that you need to work on, try to work on them before you actually apply to be a firefighter.
Yeah, 100%.
For me, like a phobia is like actually failing at something. That
Yeah.
I would say is a huge phobia. But again, I think it's like a mentality thing. You can either embrace it and be like, okay, I don't want to fail in this thing, so I'm going to train as hard as I can.
Yeah.
Or you can be like, I'm afraid of failure. I don't want to be in front of, 10 family members while doing chest compressions on someone. I'm going to quit this job.
Yeah. 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 Again, mentality, right?
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think for this question, I think we can agree. I mean, the personal fears, it's more of a personal mentality than a fear,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, for like those other ones, like I was saying earlier, like try and get comfortable, gradually with putting yourself in those positions,
Yeah.
right? And overcome it mentally.
Yeah. Like for you, it could be a tube that starts off wide and then just narrows
Yeah.
down. And
Yeah.
so you squeeze out of it like Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
Yeah. See how that goes.
Oh man.
But yeah, great question.
Yeah, very good question. Are we good with that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's 3 done.
Okay, so I gotta read this one out because this one's a little bit longer here.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to take a sip of this fine eggnog I've been sipping on for a
Yeah,
while.
with no rum in it. Lame.
I know.
No, I'm just kidding. Hey guys, can you talk about a couple things like your first shift in a hall and your first fire and how you worked through it being fresh out of training and actually having to put your training to work and what was going through your mind?
Okay, I'm just writing this as notes. Probably should have done it earlier, but
Yeah.
first shift, first call, first fire call.
Yeah,
Right?
first fire.
Okay.
How you worked through it being like fresh out of training
Right.
and putting your actual training to work
Nice. I like that one.
and what was going through your mind.
Nice.
So very in-depth question. So thank you for that one. That's like that's kind of a couple of questions in one,
Yeah.
right? So the first part of that was your first shift showing up to the fire hall.
Do you want to like take it step at a time? Like we both talk about a step of that question and then we move to the next step? Or do you-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe let's do that. It's
Okay.
a bit more organized.
Yeah.
So
We're dialed that way.
oh yeah, so dialed. We never go off topic except for every episode.
Yeah. First shift.
Yeah, so first shift in the hall is definitely you're going to be nervous. I was super nervous.
Yeah.
I remember I got to the hall like 2 hours early. I just sat in my car,
Just white knuckle.
just nervous. I was like, oh my God. Right? Like it is kind of intimidating, right? Like you're like, holy shit, okay, like this is real now.
What are you doing that? Well, like, what were you doing in that car for 2 hours?
I was just panicking.
Right.
No, I wasn't actually panicking, but I was just kind of going through my mind and like thinking about what's expected of me, introducing myself to the crew, making a really good impression.
Which are big things, important things.
Yeah, and showing them that I'm a hard worker and that I really want to learn and, that I really wanted to be there.
Mhm.
So for me, yeah, I was nervous, but I kind of went through that mental checklist.
Right.
I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do.
Nice.
Right. And then, walking up to the hall with my gear, and it was your shift that was on because I started just before you. in
Yes,
the
you did.
halls.
Because I had to redo my medicals, or like I think my certificate was expiring or something.
Yeah, it was
It
something like that.
had a few of us stay to just do the thing.
Yeah, so you guys had to renew your medical certificate.
Yeah.
So it was your crew, and I remember walking in, and I was so nervous, and I see them in there, and I'm like, oh no. But they were so nice. They were like, hey, like, what's up, man? Like,
Yeah.
and they showed me how to set up my gear so that way, if a call comes in or a fire comes in, like everything's easily accessible and
Nice.
stuff. And then my crew came in, and I was nervous, but they were all super welcoming, and they sat me down, told me what they expect from me.
Yeah.
And I just reminded myself that I'm here to prove myself, and I'm gonna be nervous for the next like 4 months.
Yeah.
When I'm on shift, and that's okay.
Mhm.
Being nervous isn't necessarily a bad thing as
No.
long as you channel that into like becoming better, or
Totally. Being nervous is you want to do well. In my mind, is being nervous. If
Exactly.
you just didn't care, then yeah, what are you doing here?
exactly, yeah.
So it's good. And we were lucky with our crews. They're still
They're
awesome
awesome.
dudes. So yeah,
Yeah.
super lucky there. And yeah, I don't even remember my first day, to be honest.
Oh, really?
I was thinking about it. I'm like, what I remember is my first visit to the fire hall. So you know how like you get your shift, you get your crew, you know what fire hall you're going to. For those that don't know, yeah, once you pass the academy, fire academy, you get assigned a fire hall on a shift. And with our department, you got to go there and meet the crew one night before you start your
Yeah,
shift.
you go have dinner with them.
Yeah. So I think I was supposed to have dinner with them, and then I was supposed to do the medical 1 week of medical or whatever it was to recert for all the guys that were expiring. Anyway, I get there for the dinner. I'm wearing like a tie, business casual, whatever, a suit.
Yeah.
It's like 6, 7 p.m. We're supposed to have dinner, and they're all kind of surrounding me, just asking questions, this and that. And then they're just like, yeah, well, we just had 2 suicides today, and we don't really feel like doing this, so just go home. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
sweet.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. Yeah, I'm like, wow. And it just hits you right there. It's like, okay, this is real. Like you're going to be jumping into some bad calls here.
Oh yeah.
Real calls, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and I appreciated them for doing that because I wouldn't want to be in that situation either, because usually, for those that don't know, like when you come for a dinner, sometimes they'll mess with you a little bit. There'll be some joking around.
Yeah.
They'll test you in certain ways, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, understandable, after 2 suicides in a day, they weren't really ready for that. So,
Yeah. That's fair.
yeah. But yeah, that's my like first experience with the fire hall that I won't forget.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah. It's just thinking back on this is so funny.
Yeah.
Right.
These
Just
are good flashbacks here, good questions.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then what did we have? What was the next one?
First fire call. First, yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, so my first one. So I remember I was in the shower because we just finished drilling.
Nice. I like
and I stunk.
it. Like
So
after the shower?
no, after drilling.
Oh,
I was just so sweaty. I'm like, I gotta have a shower. So I go have a shower, and the call comes in, and it was just for like a report of smoke.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm brand new.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So we jump in the rig, and we're going there code 3. It's in another district. And first in rig establishes command, and then they say they have a working fire. And we're like, okay. Like, I'm like, oh, fuck. Okay, this is it. This is the one. Like, this is my first fire.
Yeah.
And, adrenaline's just pumping.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, like a working fire is what you upgraded to from an alarm or
Yeah.
smoke showing.
Yeah, then it's a confirmed fire.
Yeah. You have something.
Yeah. So we're going there, and I'm just like throwing all my gear on, adrenaline spiked, right?
Yeah.
And we get there, we help the officer there do 360 because it was in a townhouse complex. So we went around the back, brought a hose line out back, and a crew went in, and they were trying to find the fire, and it turned out it was in the basement. And so we actually cut a hole in the kitchen floor with a chainsaw,
Nice.
which was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And then look down, we're like, oh yeah, the fire's down there. And so a couple members of my crew went down for search, and they ended up finding someone who was down there. And then they're trying to get this guy out. He's unconscious due to the smoke, and the stairs down to the basement of the townhouse were burnt out.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a struggle. There ended up being I think 10 or 12 of us trying to get this guy out. He was a really big guy.
I remember that during shift change.
Yeah. So he was a really big guy, but we ended up getting him out and bringing him out to ambulance, and he survived. And I remember leaving that fire and being like, these guys are so badass. Like my crew, like Shay and those guys,
Yeah.
it was like, man, these guys are fucking cool.
Just
like they're
chainsaws and
oh yeah,
body
just
snatching.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
And that's so that was my first fire, and it was like I said, the adrenaline was pumping when you're going to it, because you're like, oh shit, okay, this is it. Like this is my first fire. This is real. Like you're trying to think about all your training, and like what your job is going to be, and all this stuff, right? And like when you're going there, you're nervous, right?
Yeah.
But after the fact, I was like, wow, I was like, that was so cool.
Give me one more.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then it was crazy because having that be my first fire and being part of that rescue, it was pretty cool, man.
Yeah, and that's awesome, man. And it's kind of better to get all those crazy calls as soon as possible, because you want your crew to see that you can do the job.
Yeah,
that you're teachable, that you're trainable.
Yeah,
you're not going to panic.
Totally. Now that being said, don't go starting fires in your district.
Yeah,
trying to.
Yeah, this is not legal advice. But yeah, or training advice. But Yeah, I remember because you were a little bit of a black cloud. Like you had a lot of calls when we first started,
Yeah, yeah,
and my first fire came in only I was it came like 3 or 4 shifts after we started, which is still pretty early on,
totally.
I
Yeah,
would say. But those first few days, you're like, man, I just want to prove myself. Like, give me something, give me something. And if you have a slow day, you have to keep yourself busy and prove yourself in different ways. But it's just
yeah,
not the same, right?
yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah, yeah, I was a bit of a black cloud there for a bit.
yeah,
Had some good fires, and I rescued that guy at another fire too.
yeah, yeah.
That
That
was
was
pretty
early
wild.
on.
That was I was like, I think I was still like 6 months or something like that on the
Yeah,
job.
yeah, crazy.
Yeah,
And it just for those that don't know, like all fire calls or any calls just come in waves. Like you just don't know what you're gonna get when it's gonna come in.
yeah, so random.
I remember that when you were just getting call after call, that's like, okay, he's doing something, things are happening, and I didn't have any cardiac arrest in the first like 4 months,
Yeah,
and then the last 2 months of probation, I had like 11.
yeah,
I was just like, okay, like,
you can tone it
yeah,
down.
you can take this out of it.
Yeah,
Grim Reaper here, but
yeah. I
yeah,
had a set of like two fires, a cardiac, and like a fatal car accident.
oh yeah,
I was like, this is like the Wild West out here. What the hell's going on?
pick up smoking. I'm not gonna live to see the end of probation here. The way this is going, do whatever.
But yeah, it's like when you go into your first fire, like I said earlier, like you're just trying to think of like your training and like what you're gonna do, and you're a bit nervous and stuff. But once you're there and you do it and everything goes smoothly, like it's pretty cool after.
Yeah,
You're like, fuck yeah, like now I'm a fireman,
yeah,
right?
absolutely. And like the environment you're in, you were never ever in that environment before, really. Essentially, I mean, maybe as like a volunteer or paid on call firefighter or something, but like most of us were not inside of a burning building before this job,
No,
So
no.
that is a crazy experience on its own.
Yeah. Yeah, it was wild. It was cool.
Yeah, awesome, man.
Yeah. What about you?
Uh, yeah, my first fire again didn't come right away. It came soonish though. I remember it was in a different district. So we had a bit of a way to go, but we were still second in.
Nice.
So, we're turning the corner. It was like a residential area, just, 2-story single family occupancies. We turn around the corner, you just see roaring black smoke. You know that feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
You're like, oh, it's on.
it's on, baby. Yeah. Same thing, just trying to remember everything. The way it works with our department is we go from rig to rig. So if we get a call on a medic, we'll be on a medic. If we get a call on the engine, we go on the engine. So
Yeah,
just,
when you're on probation.
yeah, so just swapping back and forth. So I just swapped over. I was just like, okay, I have all my gear, I have all my tags, everything. Okay, I'm good to go. I'm good to go. Turning that corner, you're like, okay, yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
And we talk about it a lot here, but being part of a team, staying close to the captain. He's got my back. I'm trying to have his. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
He tells me go in with the other crew, the first crew that got there, and I'm like, where are they? Like, like what crew? And all of a sudden, like 3 dudes come out of like billowing black smoke. It was also a basement fire. It was like I think a dryer caught on fire or something.
Oh, okay.
So it was just roaring black smoke. And these 3 guys come out. The captain that was inside, he's retired now, but he came out with no mask. It's like, what is this? Like, this guy's just been inhaling smoke for the last 5 minutes. So I'm like, okay, go with them. And so I tagged in with them. And yeah, we basically changed the attack. We came around the corner, did a bunch of things, protecting another house. It was just like, yeah, like I was on a 2.5. It was like, yeah, like,
Nice. Yeah, yeah. You got to do a bit of everything.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
awesome. And then my captain was awesome. He retired now as well, but he's like, come inside. Like we'll get you in with the overhaul guys because we weren't part of overhaul,
Yeah.
or just I think they were maybe like checking for extension or whatever. And he's like, come, like feel the steps, the stairs, feel how spongy it is, feel like what's dangerous.
Yeah.
So I went in there and basically like explored under supervision.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
such a good like learning moment.
Yeah, he took me under his wing, and yeah, it was just great mentorship, and it just makes you more stoked, right?
Totally.
You're learning all these things, and
Yeah.
yeah, so it was a great fire. I mean, that turned into a parking lot, unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a save. It was like a corner, yeah, residential area. obviously basement, so it just got up super quick.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that family lost the home. But and that's another thing is like, even though it's exciting for us and we feel good, we have to keep our emotions in check. Like,
Totally.
we did our job, but that family lost everything. And
Yeah, like you don't want to be at a fire scene like high-fiving people once you
yeah,
put the fire out because like you said, like that family just lost a bunch of their stuff or maybe their entire house, right?
yeah, whether they have insurance or not, it's probably the worst day of their life. And
Yeah.
you have to remember that, even though like we're there to do our job and we like doing our job, it's not a good scene for most of people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I like these questions, man.
This is a good question.
It's bringing back some memories.
Yeah, yeah,
Good.
it's good. Going down memory lane.
Yeah, start tearing up here soon.
Wimp. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll go for a swim.
Yeah.
I think the next portion of that is like, well, we talked about working through it. I think maybe that's the end of it.
Is it? Okay, here. Let me just double check because
Yeah, we don't want to miss anything.
yeah, I want to make sure we answer the question fully. Oh, we hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so just kind of like essentially what he wanted to know was, you know, your first day in the hall and your first fire from like the mentality of like a brand new.
Yeah. Oh,
probationer.
it taught me another thing. Somebody stole our Halligan that day, like another rig,
Really?
because like our Halligan is the one piece cast for like
The nice one.
the nice one,
Yeah.
right? And the other
So
one
they
was like a
switched theirs
three-piece
out.
Halligan. Yeah. I'm like, what just happened? We steal stuff from each other.
Like no one will notice.
Yeah. But yeah, you just that was a day in learning fire culture as well.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Funny.
Yeah. It's awesome. But yeah, I don't really have much to add to that right now, but what about yourself?
No, that's awesome. Thank you guys for all those questions. And I still can't believe we just got all those questions just off the first episode.
Yeah, that's awesome. That it shows that people are tuning in, and yeah. So please, to everyone listening, like please keep sending these questions. These are great.
Yeah.
Boris said you can DM us on Instagram the questions that you want us to answer, or you can email us too.
Yeah. info@firefightersglobal.com. We're everywhere. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We might not be most active on all of those, but
yeah, I think we're probably most active on Instagram.
Yeah.
But yeah,
100%.
yeah, give us a follow.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. And yeah, tune in for the next one.
All right. Take care, guys.
See ya.